Welcome back to another episode of the Pickle Pulse. I am your host, Brian Green, and today we have a longtime 5-0 legend of the DC metro area, Miss Sarah Marr, who I believe teaches little Rugrats every day, and she's far better than I am because I would put them in a headlock and I would be in some sort of detention facility. And I'm sure you've had moments where you feel like I'm really close.
Yes, you do, especially 15 years in teaching. Yes, there are those moments.
Wow, you must have started when you were like 10. That's amazing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you want to start young, just like in pickleball. I wish.
That is awesome. Well, I always like, we're going to talk about the mental game of pickleball today because we have had a massive meltdown in the past week. And one of my favorite players, I know she's loved or hate, but I think Leia's pretty awesome, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about why I think that. But before we kind of dive into that, tell all the listeners out there a little bit about you. How did you find pickle? Why do you play the game, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So I feel like I've known about pickleball since about 2013. I grew up in Connecticut, and my parents, once they retired, they said, we're done with New England weather. So they moved out west to Mesquite, Nevada. So I went out to visit them during one of my breaks from school. And after we played tennis, they said, let's go play some pickleball. And I said, pickleball, what's that? So after tennis, we played, and I only would play like every year that I went to visit them. It was about 2 times a year. So that was probably from 2013 to 2017. And then finally I thought, I wonder if there's pickleball in Maryland. So I Googled it and found out that there was actually a league that was happening on Tuesday nights in Druid Hill Park. So I immediately signed up, and some of my best friends are still from that league that I found. And then I ended up doing my first tournament that December of 2017, and I was hooked.
So you found pickleball in 2013 when it really wasn't a thing at all. Where did they discover it? Did they find it in school, or did a friend introduce them? Or
not sure, but the people who had done it, they were there in Baltimore for at least a few years before I had found it online.
Okay.
But I know some people that have found it because of their PE teacher, and since I teach PE, it's definitely a way, if your teacher knew about it, people have played it in their PE class without realizing it.
Okay.
So
yeah,
kind of interesting. I'm like, okay, so now I'm going to do that with my students, get them started so I can play split age with them eventually.
Well, I have 2 13-year-olds and an almost 16-year-old. She'll be 16 in like 3 weeks. Yeah, which is exciting for her. But they have all played pickleball through PE, and they've all told me that's their favorite part of the whole year.
Yeah.
Because like, most people can't play, but just body bagging your friends, hitting it back and forth.
I know.
It's so much fun.
I wish I had learned it in my PE classes, but wasn't lucky enough to.
Yeah. No, me too. Me too. I was skateboarding and surfing and doing all the things you would do if you grew up at the beach.
I was going to say, those are cool skills to learn too. I wish I had. I was doing basketball, volleyball, tennis, the other sports, but...
Yeah. So you were always a sporty person.
I was. Yeah. My parents are very athletic as well. So they taught me everything I know, and even taught me pickleball. So I owe them a lot to my success. Thanks, Mom, Dad.
That's awesome. And then did you play high level tennis? Did you just play tennis for fun?
No, I just played tennis for fun for high school. I took a break for college. I should have, looking back on it now, I should have tried to get a scholarship for at least volleyball or tennis. But I was kind of burnt out from my coaches, and I knew I wanted to be a PE teacher. So I knew I wanted to go to college outside of Connecticut. So that's what brought me down to Maryland 19 years ago now. And I love it down here. I've been more in Maryland than Connecticut now. So I can say I'm a Marylander for sure.
I love it. And so you didn't come in as like a 5-0.
No.
Where did you start, and how did you get to
Brian.
where you are?
So I played tennis since just high school, and I was the number 1 singles my senior year of high school, and I was beating these girls that would play year round. And I didn't realize there was ratings in tennis until I got to pickleball, and it was my first tournament. And they're like, what level are you going to play? So I played in a 3-0 tournament, and I got gold. And that's when I realized I don't think I'm a 3-0. So then my next tournament, I played 3-5, got gold in that. And I was like, I don't belong here either. So then I went to 4-0, and I stayed at that level for a good bit before I moved up to 4-5, 5-0. So
okay. Yeah,
it's pretty embarrassing. I didn't know that there was skill levels in tennis.
No, I think I played 3-0 in my first one as well, except for I belonged there and did not get gold. But we've all moved up in the world since then.
Exactly. That's all that matters. Keep moving up.
Nice. Well, appreciate you making the venture out here. And I'm excited to talk about the mental side, because it is something that I struggle with, and I think a lot of people do. You know, I played golf competitively back in high school, and the mental side was always the tough part for me there.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully we'll learn something. You guys can learn something out there. And as we're going through, if you hear something that really kind of tickles you a little bit, please comment. Let me know what you were thinking, some of the things you've struggled with. If we really make you mad because we're wrong, I love hearing about that too. And call me out, not Sarah.
You can call me out. I can handle it mentally.
Let's get right into this, because I want to show the match last week of Leia kind of melting down, and then talk about it a little bit as we're going through.
Sure.
Okay.
And most of it in game 2 is from the ladies on the far end.
All right. So here we're in game 2. All right. And Leia hits her return back. She's super mad, and she's challenging Coop's serve. And she's basically saying that Coop has hit the ball too high here. And she wants to know whether it was legal or not. Now, this is the second time already this has happened. The first time it was a warning.
Call for the rally is 6:01. 2 timeouts. Timeouts.
Okay, so the ref rules in Leia's favor, and if you watch the replay, you'll see that she did hit it way above her belly button, so that was a good one. This lady's just having too much fun.
Yeah, she's having a great time.
That's what I love it. So we're a little deeper in the match now. We're in game 3. All right, Leia resets. Coop calls it out.
Uh-oh, controversy.
The biggest hook in pickleball. And what Leia's so upset about is that they cannot challenge it at this point, and I'm not 100% sure why. I don't know if you do either.
Did they use all their timeouts at this point?
No. It could be that they're on grandstand maybe, and there's no replay. But the long story short is this is just in pro pickleball. This cannot happen.
Yeah.
And you'll see why here in a second. So they go on to the next point. Leia's pissed. You could see it in that overhead. She wanted to work them.
Leia Jansen. Uh-oh.
And then the worst ink.
Yeah.
Clearly the worst soft
It's clearly getting to her mentally,
Yep.
as it would for most.
That's exactly right. And you can see, and that's the worst miss she's had in 3 games. And, you know, she's just sort of losing it here.
Called out by Coop.
The crazy thing is it was called out, and you can see that if they had a replay, it was clearly in.
Yeah.
Clearly inside the line even.
And all professional sports have that replay, so why couldn't they look at it
Yeah.
at that time?
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And this is a game-changing kind of moment within the
The
match.
momentum definitely changes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think
So the
that's
other
as
thing
good as
that
it gets
you'll
out of
notice is that the crowd turns on Leia after this. And that pisses me off because, look, Leia's saw it in.
Yeah.
And she's right. And yet she throws a fit about it.
Right.
But it was
And
a
then-
rightful fit.
Exactly. It'd be one thing if she was wrong. Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
She is ready to go.
Oh, she is charging up in their face.
Let's go.
Oh,
Leia
Some people get
Jansen, all
super
knotted up in
focused
8.
in these moments, or they lose it completely, I've noticed.
Oh, yeah.
Andrea Coop.
Oh, yeah. All right. So we're now
Jansen
late
taking a
into the
step to
match.
her left,
It's
thinking
9 to
Coop was gonna
9.
go inside out. What a
The
find.
the crowd has fully turned on Leia at this point,
Wow.
and she's asking if she has a timeout. She should have a timeout at this point. They've only used one. There should be a second one. The refs are telling her she does not have a timeout.
Leia Jansen
This is why she's getting
timeouts.
very frustrated.
They have left.
Look how intently the fans are looking at her.
And they're trying to figure it out. She's asking, when did I call the other timeout?
Right. Because they should have that tracked.
And basically, somehow, some way, she doesn't have a timeout at the end of this, which is really perplexing to me. As did he write something down wrong? I
Right.
really would like the referees to come out, and I'd like to hear their side, because I feel like they screwed the pooch on this one, big time.
And they probably won't admit it.
No, they
As a
definitely
ref, you
won't.
can't.
No, you can't.
Because then you'll lose credibility.
It's like the judge saying I was wrong after he convicted you.
And and it's 9-9. It's going to come down to who's mentally strong at this point.
That's exactly right.
The situation here.
I'll have to say, I do believe overall.
All right, so we're flipping over. It's now 10-10. This is a heavy match. This was a fun one to watch. You guys should go back and watch the whole thing. They really played well. All right, that was a really dumb speed up by Callie.
Yep, right to her backhand.
Again, baiting Callie Smith into going for an offensive.
All right, and you see how the crowd is just all hype. There's no love anymore. Jade's also wearing glasses, which I find interesting. She hadn't in the past.
Maybe something happened with her contacts.
Yeah, and or she doesn't want to lose an eye.
Right. Yeah, true.
And I think you could confuse.
Now they're trying to call a kitchen violation on Callie, which wasn't there. Leia's telling them, you can't see anything, just
Yeah.
walk away.
I'm like, how can you see that and make that call?
It's a very contentious match at this point.
Very similar.
You can feel the tension not even being there.
No, really, yeah.
That is the Coop Champ match point here.
Okay. She's done. She can't. Wow.
And Leah Jensen is about losing her mind right now.
And the funny thing is, I think they made the right call on this one.
I agree.
But
It
the
did look a little
fact-
long.
The fact that they did not review it, and it's a match point, and there are thousands of dollars on the line,
Yeah.
if not more than that, at
Right.
this point, because of potential sponsorship opportunities for getting to the next level and into championship
Yeah.
Sunday. I mean, this is huge, absolutely huge, that the refs just said, nope, not going to do it.
Right. And they could have. It would have taken only a few 30 seconds, a minute at most.
Oh, yeah. And so, like, number one, Leia, I think her outrageous behavior turned the tides in that I don't think people wanted to help her.
Right.
Right. And then number two, the PPA let her down big time
Big time.
in this particular situation.
Yeah.
I don't think she was in the wrong.
No.
In that clearly the first call that she got upset over was in. And then the fact that they end the match on another call that they won't allow her to take a look at again. I mean, that's stuff you lose sleep over it
I
at
know,
night.
exactly, especially when it's that close. And I was going to bring up line calls and how some people, do you think that some people make bad line calls to get in someone's head? Mm-hmm. I think it's a great strategy that people use. I don't like to use that strategy. I try to make the right call, but we've all made bad calls. But sometimes I think people intentionally will do it because they know so-and-so on the other side of the court is going to lose their mind.
Yeah. Well, and I think some people in general walk into tournaments and they're anything tight, they're calling out.
Right.
Yeah, they're just trying to take that little advantage. I mean, I've heard it 100 times. It's a terrible saying, but if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. and unfortunately, in pickleball, the way things are going, that's kind of a right statement.
I know, it's crazy, but you just have to try to stay calm in those moments, especially when you know that they made a bad line call. What would you do to fix it?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's like try to take a timeout, especially if Callie there for Leah, like you have to take a timeout for your team if you have one.
Yeah.
If not, just try to like take those seconds and say kind and calm words to your partner to try to get them out of their head, because it's hard. Once you see red, it's really hard to see green again.
Well, and how bad did the PPA really screw her in this one? In that, I mean, they took away her timeout.
Yep.
So she couldn't cool down.
Right.
And kind of get over it.
Yeah.
And then secondly, they're not showing the replays. They're missing the calls. I mean, this is just, I'd say more so, there's been a backlash against Leia on this. There should be a backlash against the PPA and the referees.
I agree.
And that's kind of where I'm at. You've got to be better when you're running a professional tour that's doling out millions of dollars to their players, to their sponsors. It's got to be right.
It has to be right. Otherwise, pickleball won't be taken seriously like other professional sports.
Yep, that's right. So I said I was a big fan of Leia. I always like to kind of explain that. And that's she's been one of my favorite female players since 2 years ago when she was playing in California. I'm pretty sure she was playing Jilly B in this match. It's a singles match, and you could tell that she was spent. It was just over, but she kept giving it her all and giving her all. Comes back from behind, beats her to win. On camera, walks to the corner of the court and throws up everywhere.
Oh, wow.
On the court. And I was like, this girl has got guts.
Literally.
Like,
she's showing them.
She's showing them. And ever since then, I've been just a huge Leia fan. And I've met her a couple of times. And to be honest, she's not that nice.
That's what I've heard.
Yes.
But I understand it. Some people just want to be in the zone and don't want to talk to people while they're competing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get that too. But I mean, even outside of that, she wasn't really that nice. Yeah. I met her. and so
I still like you, even though you're not the nicest.
Yeah, that's exactly
fine.
right. But the bottom line is you got to get the calls right on the professional level. And it trickles down into amateurs as well.
It does.
Yeah.
And even that's a pro match. I mean, how many games do we play that aren't reffed that we can't even ask someone about those calls? Like, we have to take whatever line call the other team makes and go forward.
Yeah. No, I had this happen. I played in a tournament last weekend now. It's been a week. And had a guy make an egregiously bad call. I mean, it's inside the line. We could see it. They could see it. Fortunately, I didn't throw a hissy fit because we were already up like 7-0 or something. I mean, we were beating the snot out of them.
Good.
So, it wasn't a thing. But at the same time, if it was a thing, we had a ref. And he didn't overturn it. And the refs are not watching the lines.
Right.
And when there's no one at the kitchen, why are they not watching the lines?
Right.
Because at this point, we're up at the kitchen pushing them back, and they call my ball out, just like that match just finished.
Right.
And,
right. They should be watching the ball when when everyone's not all at the kitchen. I agree.
And it should be a very easy overturn. But for some reason, every ref throws their hands up and they go, I call kitchen violations. That's it.
That's it.
It's like, come on, bro.
I know. Especially if it is close, or even in a moment where you're up 7-0, that could change the momentum, because then it could make you overthink, all right, well, now I'm not going to go for those line shots anymore. And that affects your play, your style that you wanted to do.
Oh, for sure.
So.
For sure. So moving forward past Leia, glad you guys got to see that. If you didn't, I think it's very important, because I would like more of an uproar towards the PPA and the officials versus going right at Leia. And that her behavior was sort of childish, but we all get there. And I'm not going to fault her for that, because in the end, she was right, at least on the first call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So talk to me a little bit about some of the mental challenges that you've faced in pickleball, and some of the things that, I think, do you have that anxiety still when you walk out for that first match at a tournament?
I was going to bring that up.
Yes.
I was like, since I don't know how many tournaments I've played in total, but I've played in a lot to where I do feel pretty comfortable. And I know with having that tournament experience under my belt, I know that that's something that's going to help me if I'm playing against another team, like that experience. But I'm not going to lie, that first point of the first game, I walk out with butterflies still, and I think that's a normal feeling, to be anxious and but I also am just saying positive things to myself, like, Sarah, you got this. The level of my confidence, like in pickleball, it has to be above the average. So like, everyone believes that they're good at something or they're good at pickleball, but you have to believe that you can win anything that you want to do. So every tournament that I sign up for, I believe that I can win it. Mm-hmm. And do I? No, I don't win every tournament that I sign up for, but you have to believe that you can. Otherwise, you're going to lose. And why did you even spend that money if you thought you couldn't win? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to start there, because that's kind of like the very beginning. Because I mean, if you're getting mental in rec games, then you need to go talk to a therapist. Okay.
Yes.
It's okay.
It's
Everyone
okay to
has
lose
had one
and win in rec games.
It's okay.
It is okay. But some people, I realize, don't do tournaments. So then their rec play is the tournament. So they have something to prove. They want to show how amazing they are, but they just kind of take it too far sometimes.
Yep.
With that.
Well, and I wanted to share some of the things that I do. I also play a good bit of tournaments, not as many as you, but I'm trying to catch up. And one of the things that I've learned about myself is that if I have a really full stomach coming into a tournament, I don't play good. I don't feel well. Mm-hmm. So if it's a morning start, if it's an afternoon start, I make sure that I don't really eat for about 2 hours before I start. And that way I can go in and, I don't have my stomach rumbling. I don't have to worry about I need to go to the bathroom. Right. Anxiety causes all these things.
Oh, it does.
And the other thing that I've done is I've figured out some snacks and some drinks that I bring that my body is okay with.
Yep.
And that I feel good about, that gives me enough energy to get through the day, because I'm not going to eat a big meal. Even if I'm going on a 12-hour tournament day, I'm living off of, I found these little, at Giant, if you're in Northern Virginia or you have a Giant locally next to you, there are these little snack pouches of trail mix. And they're $1.25 each. It's 600 calories if you eat the whole thing. It's got sugar, it's got nuts, it's got raisins, it's got all the things that you need. And if you're drinking the Gatorade, Gatorlight stuff, have one of those a couple of times. And then other than that, just water.
Yep.
Not drinking. Occasionally, I will caffeine up if I'm feeling a little down in the afternoon. So I'll have a Monster energy drink with me, and I'll pound that if need be.
Yeah.
But that's like a break glass, if needed, emergency type piece. It's usually just water and those trail mix things all day long.
Yep, I agree. I eat snacks throughout the whole tournament. And like you said, you don't want to feel full. You don't want to eat like a big lunch, because sometimes tournaments have food trucks there. I stay away from those and I just eat whatever I bring, because you don't want yourself to eat something and then you have this stomach rumbles, and you're in game 3 and you can't call a medical timeout to go to the bathroom. So it's good to come prepared with what you know that your body can handle. And I'm a teacher, so I love coffee, so I do have to drink coffee in the morning. And I know some people, it makes them more shaky from being nervous, but for me, it just prevents the good old headache that I can get. And then I do bring an energy drink for maybe later on in the tournament if I need that. But lately, I've been staying off that. I think I don't need as much caffeine as I used to.
Yep. And do you have any like pre-tournament rituals that you sort of always do, or something that you feel like you have to do just to be mentally right?
Yep. So visualizing is a big thing that I learned about from Dane Gringich. Do you know him? He's a mental coach, and I'm not certified by any means, but I feel like what I've been doing mentally really helps with just tournament game day. So just visualizing as I'm driving to the tournament, I'm visualizing everything that's about to happen in the game, all my shots, drops, drives, dinks, lobs, serves. I'm visualizing a close game. Like, I'm not visualizing, I'm going to win so easily. I'm visualizing everything that could happen. And then that way, when I get on the court, it should happen. And then I love listening to a playlist. I don't know if you listen to a playlist on your way to a tournament. My boyfriend, Jeremiah, he created it for me. It's called Marvelous. So can't get much better than that.
Sounds pretty epic.
But when we were playing pickleball together, we would both listen to it. And it's just a bunch of uplifting, positive, confident songs that I listen to in the car right before it. And it gets me pumped up.
Nice.
I was actually listening to it on my way here.
I like it.
But just those things, like keeping that same routine, definitely helps with just then being in a routine, and you feel less anxious when you get to the tournament.
Yeah.
It helps.
I don't have a playlist that I listen to, but I always listen. I'm a guy of the beach, and if you surf and you skate like I did growing up, most likely you listen to punk rock, and punk rock gets you going.
That will get you going.
So
That's good.
I'm always punk rock on the way to a tournament.
Nice.
And usually like John Mayer on the way away.
Yep, exactly. You need something
Gotta calm
calming
down.
on the way down. Yeah, I've gone wrong, and I've listened to it again on the way home, and I'm like, why can't I sleep? Oh, that's right,
There
because
you
I'm
go.
amped up still.
So talk to us a little bit about, do you have any stories where you've really had to overcome some mental challenges?
I mean, even for myself, I've had a few tournaments where someone makes a bad call, but I do try to just let it go. And I would say I do have a nice goldfish brain where I do kind of forget things in general pretty fast, which I think is a blessing and a curse, you know? So when that happened in that tournament, that was one of my first tournaments, probably in 2018. It was a women's match, and just couldn't believe that they not only made one bad line call, but multiples, to the point where then, okay, I guess I'm not going down the line or cross court to the line. So then it makes you have to go more middle. And then my partner at the time, she was like, let's just hit them. They can't call it out if we hit them with the ball. And I was like, I'm not doing that.
I love that.
But
yes.
That's how you kind of overcome that. And then you laugh about it. And then from there you can relax. It's more like, how can you relax after a tense moment and then just get out of your head? Because most of us stay in our heads for way too long and are like, oh, that's the 5th dink I've missed. It's like, who's counting? Why are you counting how many shots you miss? It's not a big deal.
Don't do that.
Yeah. So that definitely gets everyone. But just other than that, confidence, like, how do you build your confidence up? You just have to keep saying how, like, positive talk to yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, then who else will?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I love that you said laughing, because I've learned this is one thing that really helps me. I used to get very mad when I miss a very routine shot. and especially in a tournament, and to the point where at first it was like a 4-letter word outburst. And then the ref will call you and be like, warning. And then I'm like, oh my God, what if I do it again? And it's like, it's going to count you a point, which has happened to me.
Really?
Yes, it really sucked.
Yeah. Just keep it in. Keep those words in.
Yes. And so then I went to I was like, I'm going to be like J.W. Johnson and I'm going to internalize this and straight face Brian. That doesn't work either. No, then it just comes all out in an eruption. You're just like,
You can see it yourself boiling and then it just comes out.
So now I've just learned to laugh at myself.
Yep.
And I go, you know what? You missed that into the dink that dink into the net halfway up. Yeah. That's hilarious. That was so bad. That was hilarious.
Let's try not to do that again.
Yep, exactly right. And then the other thing, talk a little bit about partners, is I've learned that there are just some people I don't want to play with, and there are some people I really enjoy playing with. And I think the vibe between partnerships is so crucial to going deep in tournaments.
Yep.
You're shaking your head, so tell me what you think.
I agree. So I try to look, it's so simple. I just try to find a partner that is kind, respectful to me, or like the general like game, you know, like they're not going to freak out, or if they do, they'll do it respectfully kind of thing. But the big thing is just feeling relaxed with them. And so once you find that vibe with someone, you want to like hold on to it, because it's tough. Like I've thought about if I could play with like the best player, but they're not kind, they're a jerk to everyone, like would I want to win with them? And the answer would be immediately no. So to me, playing with the best person, but if their attitude is not there, then I don't want to play with them. It's not worth it.
I love you're saying this. I have a story to tell. All right. So our boy, James Broker, legendary player.
I'm playing with him tonight in the MLP.
Let's go.
Yep.
All right. So you can tell him I told this story.
I will.
So the tournament that I won last week in 4-5, we played Open together. So I signed up for Open because James was nice enough. He said yes, right? So you ask the high-level player, and he's like, let's go to war. And I'm like, yeah, all right, we got a shot. And then I start seeing the names popping up in the Open division. I'm going, oh, shit. Okay, I can't beat that guy. I can't beat that guy, or I never have, right? Terrible mental talk.
Exactly. We got to work on that,
Yep.
Brian.
It's really, and I have mental blocks on people. We're going to get there.
Okay.
We're definitely going to get there. So we get into it. The first team that James and I are playing are a team that we've never heard of and never seen. So I can't be blocked on these guys, right? And the whole time I'm feeling insecure because I know that if we lose, it's on me, right? And we get through the first game. The guys were trying to hit me nonstop, and James. So they were bangers, and they were trying to just plow through us, body bag us. We were dodging the ball. We actually beat them like 11-4, 11-5. Wow. Really good win. All right, we changed sides, and all of a sudden they decided that I was the guy to pick on. And so they hit drops to me, and they basically made me dink with them nonstop. I was so tight that I could not hit a backhand dink, even though I could probably hit 50 in a row right now.
Right, exactly. Right? It was that moment.
But it's just that moment, and the whole time, and every time I miss a dink, I'm like, I'm letting James down. Oh my God. And then the fifth one, I'm like, he's never going to play with me again.
Oh, no.
And then by the end of the second game they had won, they're fully picking on me. James seeing no balls at this point. And I walk away, and to his credit, Broker was awesome. He's trying to lift me up the whole time. He was such a good partner. Even after we lost, I'm like apologizing to him. Like, dude, it was me. I'm sorry. You just wasted your money. I'll pay for your tournament. Like the whole thing is like, come on, bro. And basically I drove back from Richmond from that tournament feeling like such shit that I didn't play another tournament again for like 8 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And because I felt like I ruined it, right? I finally got a chance to play with a guy that's above my level. But what I learned after thinking about it for a long time is that I don't want to play with a guy above my level. And the reason being is I am going to feel that way. I don't want to be responsible for the loss. And eventually, if they're smart pickleball players, which when you're getting into 5-0, 5-5, they're pretty smart and good.
Yeah.
They're going to figure out who the weaker link is, and they're going to completely dial it in onto you. So
what'd you do in between the 8 months to get that confidence back?
I don't know if I got any confidence back. What I did was I avoided tournaments because that one just really hurt. And then the next time I said, look, I'm going to go in and I'm going to play at my level, the 4-5 level. And I'm going to play with guys that I feel comfortable with. And I have a couple of partners that I play with very consistently. And, you know, when we lose, I know it wasn't just me. And so it makes me feel better to play at my level with people that are kind of at the same spot. and then we do well together. Otherwise, I get mental, is
Yeah.
what I've learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bring up a good point of just like the self-talk that you had to yourself in that game with James. Like every mistake, you were just like, oh no, he's never going to talk to me again.
Yes.
Like, and that's tough. Like that's tough to get out of your head in that space because you have to just let it go. That hurts. I
Yeah.
mean, because you could just feel it like being pulled out of you. And then of course you're going to play worse instead of better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I wanted to share that with you guys because I have a feeling many of you might have a similar situation. And or if you're thinking about just trying to get a high level player, I mean, maybe it's not the best option and you want to play with people at your own level and win up to that level.
Yeah.
So then when you get there, you don't have these internal feelings that you're having to overcome.
Right.
Right.
And also with winning and losing, I've noticed a lot of people will instantly say, I don't want to lose. I don't want to go 0-2 in a tournament. And what do? They go 0-2 because they have so much fear of losing and fear of looking bad at any skill level. So that doesn't even go in my mind. Like I've probably gone 0-2 less than 5 times in all my tournaments because I don't even let that come into my mind. I'm like, I'm going to play well. If I play well, I'm going to win. Like I know I am. And so I need to make sure that if I'm playing well, how am I going to help my partner play well as well? So if they make a mistake, I'm not saying anything but positive, like reaffirmment to them because I know if I start, or if I was being corrected by someone, I would actually feel more pressure and play worse. So I know that whoever I'm playing with, they have the skills. That's why they're at the 5-0 level. I don't need to say anything to them. They just made a mistake and I'm going to make just as many mistakes. So I try to treat my partners how I want to be treated. And I've noticed that you can talk about strategy and, what we could have done better in timeouts or at the end of each game, but to say something in between each point, don't do it. Just paddle tap each time. Sometimes I miss the paddle and that's kind of like makes me and my partner laugh because we're like, wow, we can't even
paddle tap.
We can't even paddle tap close enough. And so that laughing just calms both of us. And it really, really helps anyone that I play with just relax. And if you can be relaxed and do your thing, you're going to win.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. So talk to me about chirping.
Oh, chirping.
All right. Chirping. And does it affect you? How do you feel about it, et cetera?
I haven't experienced too much of it, but I have more in mixed. I've played against some people that have chirped, but when I'm in the zone, I don't let anything really into it. Even my partner, they could be saying stuff to me and I won't be listening because I'm just focused. But the first time I think I was chirped at was Alex Guy, which I know a lot of you know him. And it was in a tournament in Virginia.
He's a pretty infamous chirper.
I was going to say, I think keeps chirping after that, but it worked. I was kind of just shocked in the moment, but it worked. It got in my head a little bit, but I was able to try to just ignore it. But I think it affected my partner as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. So you're not
tough.
a chirper, but
I'm not a chirper, no.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think about what could I do or say maybe before the game starts to get in someone else's head. And especially since you play against people that you generally know, especially in this area, everyone knows each other. But like, what can you do or say to get them off their game?
Yeah.
Like some people will say, oh, I've never beat you, Sarah, or something like that right before I'm playing. And I'm like, that's a good strategy to try to get in someone's head. Cause then it has me thinking, oh, I'm going to win this time. Cause I beat them all the time. I don't ever think I have like a chance over anyone, especially people that I've constantly beat, because I believe anyone can beat anyone at any time. So
yeah, nice. I want you to hold on to that thought because I have a question for you later
Okay.
about that. To kind of further this, I will say, like in the chirping world, I have learned something, and that's what this whole pod is about. If I'm boring you, then just cut it off right now. But it's what we've learned in tournaments and how to mentally overcome.
Yeah.
So Jason Renner, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Great player. I played against him at the Pickleballers Open last January. He's playing with some guy I've never heard of. It was very obvious that the other guy was the weak link. I had heard of Jason. I knew he was good. So our game plan come in and was, let's pick on the other guy, see if we can get away with it. And we did well. We ended up losing the first game to them, but then came back and won the second game. And then Jason, and I've seen him do this so many times in the third game, he doesn't chirp. But every time they win a point, he roars. And I mean, screams across the whole place, let's go, or something.
Yeah.
And just lets everyone know things are going well. The momentum is in their side. And it got to me. It really did. And I learned something there. And that if it gets to me, that's what I do now. Because I don't want to direct my chirping at people. I don't want to say bad things about people. I don't want to really try to get under people's skin other than maybe get in their head a little bit and that, hey, the momentum switched to our side.
Yep.
And so I'll get loud now, especially in tight moments where we win points, because I feel like it strikes the fear into your opponent a tad bit.
It really does. And I agree. I wasn't much of a cheerer years ago, but ever since seeing other people cheer and how it does affect momentum, if it's a great rally and we win it, meaning the other team didn't hit it into the net with an error, I'll yell out a let's go. Like, and it just gets you and your partner just amped up. And I'm not even really thinking about it getting in their head, but I know that deep down it could be. So it's definitely something people should do more of.
I like it. I like it. And, that is, I think, the best way to go at somebody when you're not necessarily going at them. You're just trying to use the energy. That's there.
Exactly. Energy is huge. You can tell when teams are kind of imploding and they have no energy and someone on their team just clearly looks upset. When I see that, I give every ball to them because I want them to have to work hard and get the shots over, and they can get out of that mindset and get better. But sometimes when you already see them kind of imploding on themselves, you're just like, I got to just keep pushing it until it erupts.
Okay. So the last thing that I had on my list, and then I'll follow up with a final question to you about what you wanted to talk about. It's not just about me, Sarah.
No, most of the stuff
us.
you've talked about was on my list as well.
Good stuff. So I have mental blocks against certain human beings that I practice with. And then
why?
I have
You should know all their secrets, Brian.
I do, but they beat me all the time and it drives me insane. And so like we get to tournaments and if I see them in the bracket, I'm immediately like downtrodden and that, So since this is kind of an old one, but my original nemesis was Alex Spancake.
Ooh.
From 4-0 plus, every time I entered a tournament, Spancake was in my bracket. And every time, if he got silver, I got bronze. If he got gold, I got silver. I never beat him until a pop-up like 7 or 8 months ago.
Nice.
I finally beat him beat him and James Broker. Me and Pickles Paul took him down.
Nice.
That was a good win.
But see, that's why anything's possible. Like you didn't beat him yet until you just did. So you can't, any mental block you have for someone, you have to believe that they are beatable because they are. You just have to bring your best game and hope that they don't play as well as they normally, like you want to play your best and beat them at their best. But if they have more unforced errors, that's even better.
Yeah. And the funny thing is these mental blocks, this self-talk that I have about these individuals causes me to make more errors, to try harder, to do things differently, etc. And I guess one of the mantras, one of the things that I'm constantly telling myself now when I go to a tournament, or go to a competitive match, whatever it may be, is that it's just pickleball, Brian. And you know what? I'm good. I have a great job, great family. Life is good. Why am I so gosh darn stressed about this game with a wiffle ball?
Because you just love it so much and you want to play your best and you want people to see it. So I get it. But it really, the more you can have fun though, I've noticed, the more you'll do better. Like
That's
you
exactly
just
right.
have to take the pressure off of it. And I even mentally tell myself every game that I'm playing, it's as if I'm playing a rec game. Like just don't think of it as a big tournament. Just imagine that this is just you hanging out with your friends, because sometimes it is some of my friends on the other side of the court. And mentally, I've told some of them, like I mentally say, you said something horrible about my mom and it's on. Like I don't like you for however long these 3 games or 2 games take. Like you're not my friend right now. And it's hard. It's hard to turn that switch on and off, but you have to.
Well, it definitely is. And I think you hit the point, is that you've got to figure out a way to relax yourself, to be okay, and to mentally believe that you can win if you play your game and make less errors.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, as I get higher and higher up and I learn more about this great game that we play, it really comes down to the team that makes less errors. It's not the team that hits the most winners or great shots.
Right.
It's the team that doesn't miss 5 dinks into the net. Right.
Yep.
It's just the little things in pickleball.
It is.
That's why you go out and you drill and you hit 100 dinks in a row and you hit drops over and over again. And you're like, is this really helping me? Yes, it is.
Because it builds your consistency. And then everything that you get back, the other team has to work harder to get it by you. And so that causes them to have some type of error usually.
Yeah.
That's good. And talking about those mental blocks, like mentally, I say this to myself, like, I want to be on the side of the bracket where people are saying, oh no, I don't want to play against Sarah. Like, why is she on my side? Like, that's what I want. There's no one that I see that I'm like, oh no, I'm playing them. I've played some really good teams first, but mentally I'm not thinking anything except for I can beat them. Like you have to tell yourself that. Otherwise, why are you doing it?
So a random question for you just popped in my head. Before tournaments, I never will go on Duper to look up people I don't know to see what their Duper rating is because it psychs me out. If they're a 5.0 plus or whatever it may be, I could probably beat them. But when it says that and I haven't gotten there, so I never look up dupers before I go.
I don't either. Yeah, there's just something about it because I don't believe everyone's duper is true to where they are currently. So if you see someone has a duper that's lower than yours or a lot lower, you're gonna think that you have it in the bag. And I've lost to teams where my partner has maybe looked up that stuff and told me that, and I'm like, don't tell me that. Like, just keep that to yourself. Like, I want to assume that every team we play could beat us.
That's right. And you're going in to play your game. Yep. You have a strategy that you've put together. You know the patterns that have worked for you in the past.
Yep.
And so you want to execute on those things.
Yep.
And when you get mentally set that, oh, this is going to be easy or, oh, this is going to be too hard, you get outside of your game plan a lot.
Right. And you want to do your game plan, but then you also want to figure out in that first game, in the first few points, what their strategy is. Like, what do they want to do? Because I've noticed people think that I want to dink all day, which maybe I used to, maybe I do. But you want to do the opposite of what you think the team that you're playing against enjoys. Like, if you're playing against a team that is known for the slow game, give them the fast game. So that's why it's so important to have all the tools so that you can use them at any time.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Because a lot of times I like to do a bang and crash to start. I think a lot of teams do to see how people handle it.
Yep.
But like just this past weekend, there was a team that I thought it was going to work really well on. These dudes had great hands, but they couldn't dink. So we started bang and crash. We got way down in the game, and I was like, we got to slow this down, G. And he goes, okay. So we slowed it down, started hitting drops, made him dink, came back and won, no problem.
Exactly. And way to see that in the moment, because I think it's hard for a lot of people to see the strategy not working and to change it and go from there.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you change it, you should see that you're winning. Like, odds are you'll do well and win the game. So that's good that you were able to see that.
I like it. Thanks for the kudos.
Yeah.
So I've hit all the points that I want, and the conversation's been excellent.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
To go on, like, coming back from being in a deficit, do you feel like you play more games where you come out and you're up a few points, or do you feel like some games you're losing those first few points?
It's a great question. I always come out strong. I would say 90% of the time I come out strong and don't get down. Now, I am the king of getting way up and letting them back. And that hurts more than having to come back.
It does.
Right?
Yeah, because you came out hot and you did it right, but for some reason you got comfortable.
That's right. Or got away from your game plan because you're so far ahead and you're like, pull the trigger on stupid speed ups.
Right.
And, you know.
Right. You have to treat each point as if it was close.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I want to come out strong, but it doesn't tend to go that way. So usually I'm down like 4 points or whatever. But mentally I know that that's fine because I'm used to that. So I'm that person that can come back with her teammates. So I'm always like, I love a good comeback. Like, let's go. So when that happens, it feels so good. And when you're on the other side of it, like you were.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good when
because you can't stop it. You can't stop the momentum. It's really tough.
But what you've got to remind yourself, and what I have learned over the past 3 years, is that pickleball is a game of runs. So no matter who gets ahead to 5 first or whatever it may be, it's a game to 11.
Yeah.
And until you're at 11, we can make a nice run and come back. No problem. All we have to do is, again, execute our game plan.
Yep.
Make less mistakes.
Yep, exactly. Which seems easier said than done, but sometimes it's not.
Yes.
Do you feel like you use your timeouts the right way? Or do you use them?
At times, yes. I am like Ben Johns in a way, and I see timeouts as a weakness. It's like showing of weakness. It's like, oh, you guys have got me flustered. I need to sit down and think about my life for a moment.
That's how I feel in singles. Like, I'm like, I won't do a timeout. I don't want the other person to think I'm tired.
Yes.
And that's just for singles, but yeah, I get it. I'm good at having partners that will call the timeout because I'm just so much in my mind just going with each point that I'm usually fine with, like, okay, we just need one more stop, but sometimes you need that timeout to get the stop. So.
Yeah, but I have heard a rule of thumb that I think is pretty smart, that no more than 4 points. If they're on a 4-point run, you got to stop them.
Right.
You got to slow it down.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea too.
Yeah, so you have 2 timeouts in an 11-point game. Use them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't, but you should definitely think about it, at least using one.
Yeah.
Just to show that you're you can talk to your partner about something strategic or switch up the game plan, but it's good to definitely take them.
Although I must say, to contradict myself completely, which I'm going to do, is I love it when when we're up and a team takes a timeout, I'm just like, they're shook. We got them. And you know what? I'll grab my water bottle and I'll literally pace around on the other side. I'm not sitting down. I'm
just
pacing,
run
waiting
around.
for them to come back. Right?
That's good. And that's a good mental strategy, because then they're seeing that you're not resting and they're like, ooh, Brian's ready to go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So pound a little bit of water and hopefully finish the job.
Yeah. How do you feel about offensive timeouts? Like, you just got the ball back, you're stuck.
Never will I take one.
Yeah, I don't think, maybe one time we did, but it's been very rare.
I think I did take one once and it burned me, and never will I do it again.
You're like, why did we waste this time out on the offense? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Sarah, I had a blast talking. I hope that you guys got something out of this. We got about 45 minutes of goodness for you. And, if you're struggling with tournaments, reach out. I would say that one of the big things that has helped me is drilling to get better, in that there is a definition of luck out there that I love, and it says when opportunity meets preparedness. So you have your opportunity ahead of you, and if you're drilling, you're being prepared, right? And so when people call me lucky, I'm like, no.
I meant that.
That's right.
I've been practicing that.
That's right. I work for this. And yes, maybe you think it's lucky, but I know I earned it. So that is a really cool kind of fun way to think about it. Outside of that, if you've enjoyed the conversation, definitely hit me up on Instagram. I'll put that right down here, and just follow me on there. And then furthermore, you can tell, gosh, I'm terrible at finishing up these things. I'm going to get better. See,
Hey,
better
good job,
self-talk,
Brian.
right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Positive.
So follow me on Instagram. It was there. And also, if you enjoyed this, like, comment, tell us how you feel. We love interaction, and I appreciate you watching. Until next time, peace.